Okay, hello everyone. Good morning, and I think we are live. So this is part 3 of our fall tutorial series that I've been doing every Sunday at 10 a.m. Atlantic time. And I'm hoping to get it finished up today, but we'll see how much we can do. So if anybody just can let me know if the audio's good, the picture's good, and we will get right started. Hello, EB. Nice to see you here. And good morning, Lisa. How are you? Very nice to see you guys this morning. So I think what I'm going to do first is just do a quick pass over the bench here and work a little bit on the grass down here. And then we'll kind of go up and start putting some of our foliage in. And I'm going to show you 2 different ways that we can do this. Looks good and sounds good. Wonderful. Thank you. So I'm going to grab my little piece of glassine paper, and I'm taking that burnt ochre 187, and I'm just going to start putting in a little bit more color because I feel like our bench needs to be just a little bit darker in some places. And as always, as we're going along, if you guys have any questions for me or anything, then please let me know. And good morning to Christopher as well. Thank you. Thank you, Lisa. I was kind of running a little bit late this morning. I didn't realize what time it was, so I kind of like flew up here at 1:45 and was trying to get stuff ready as quick as possible, but I made it. So we're kind of just jumping right into it. He heard you. Aw, thank you. Yeah, I just want a little bit more color on the bench, and I'm going to tone down some of this green, that green-yellow oxide color that we were using too. Just slightly, because I do like it in there a bit. I just want it to be a bit more toned down. Going to be doing dishes as always. Well, no problem. You just listen along and chime in when you can. I always appreciate you just showing up. So I'm just glazing this over these sections here just to kind of tone down that green just a tiny bit. I mean, you can see it in the reference photo, but I just want to tone it down a little. And I'm going to go over these areas again, just to make the bench stand out a little bit more, because I feel like our focal point is here and then somewhat back here. That's sort of what I'm going to go for in this piece. So again, because these pencils layer and blend so well, you can see I'm sort of being quite messy and quite quick, just scribbling them on there. And even though we've got some color down below on the base layer, the nice thing about these pencils is once you blend them out, they're not quite permanent. You can still scrub them up, but it's a little harder to do so. So they do stay put nicely. So you can layer with these just lovely, and I really like that about them. And I apologize if you guys can hear the sirens in the background. That's really unusual for around here. Actually, I think they're going away now, so maybe not. So I'm hoping to be able to get this done today. We'll see how far along we get. So I'll kind of be taking some suggestions afterwards for the next project, because I've had a few different suggestions. So we'll see what we want to do. You don't hear them? Okay, no, they came by real quick and then were gone, so. They must have just been on the main road, because I'm off the main road just a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to put that down, and then I'm going to grab my Burnt Umber 280, and I'm going to start getting in some more darks in here too. And again, I'm just looking at that reference photo, you know, just trying to see where the lights are, where the darks are. These need to be darkened up quite a bit. So I might actually come over top with a little bit of Payne's Gray after, maybe, because I don't want complete black yet. Black's usually one of my last things, unless I know it's going to be like dark, dark to add into the picture. But I think I'll come over a little bit with Payne's Gray here and there as well. And these back posts here need to be quite dark too. And then after, we can come over again and do a little bit of like wood grain texture in this, just a little bit. Okay, I'm also going to take this same color, that Burnt Umber 280, and just start putting it down here a little bit. Where I need it to be a little bit darker. And you know what? I might create a little bit of grass texture first. So I'm going to grab, let's grab this one here, this May Green 170. And I'm just going to start to create some little bits of grass over here. So just where I see it. Now this you could blend out or you could leave it. But I don't want there to be a whole lot of grass texture, just in a few places, and we'll blend out, you know, some of it. So I'm just pushing up with my pencil, and I'm kind of making little, I'm doing them in different directions. So like this way, and just to create some different texture. And I'm mostly keeping them by like the little post areas over here. And then I'll go in with some darker ones as well. That's pretty dark in there. And I'm going to come over and make some over here too, just a little bit along the water line. Just to give, you know, a hint that this is kind of a texture grassy area, but we'll blend some of this out and make it a little more cohesive. So I'm just picking different areas, and then I'm going to go in with that permanent green olive, and I'm going to do a few here too. And it's going to look weird right now, but once we, you know, get things starting to blend in a little bit, it's just going to give a little bit of a hint that there's some grass and stuff going on. And let's bring it right down. Okay, so I'm going to go back in with that Burnt Umber 280, and I've got to fill in some of this area. I'm going to go around some of these grassy spots that we created too. And I'm just kind of being messy too, and scribbling and this has to be a lot darker in here too. I'm going to grab that permanent olive green again. And I'm going to just start layering that in with that burnt umber in some areas. And lead it out a little bit. And I'm being quite messy, quite scribbly with this, because when I blend it out, I want some of that texture in there. And I might even do just some scribbling. Okay, like that. And then I'm going to grab that May Green 170 and just start adding it in. And maybe there's some texture and some little grass up here too. So it's going to look weird right now, but hopefully it'll come together. And I'm going to get some of that up there. And then I might even add this in just a little bit. So I'm just making little ovals just to create some texture, and I will just lightly kind of blend this out. And just some scribblies. And yes, it looks, I don't know if this is showing up for you guys, but it's going to look weird, but it is going to give us a little bit of some texture in there. And I'm just lightly going in with that permanent olive green, just doing a few patches here and there. All right, so I am going to grab my Payne's Gray 187. And I'm just going to start adding this into our bench here, into the darkest areas, just to help really darken them up. And then we'll probably go ahead and blend out this bottom part, and then we'll work on our trees up there. So is it looking kind of scary for you guys right now? So I'm also bringing this Payne's Gray down a little bit, just into the grass, just in little bits to create sort of like little shadow areas. And then we can always, once it's blended out and dried, we can come back and do just a bit more grass texture if we need, and some shadows and stuff. Lisa says it's looking good from my end. Oh, thank you so much, Lisa. You're so sweet. Sometimes I go, well, I hope this works out. When in doubt, just scribble it on there. And this part's kind of really fun because you can be messy and just play with it and kind of see what you get. Okay, and I need to darken up these too. Now, I'm just going to grab my Faber-Castell Perfection Eraser, and this is one of my favorite erasers to use with either colored pencils or watercolor pencils, anything like dry pencils, because I just went out of it a little bit, and I'm just going to just lightly scratch that up there. And just get rid of that. Actually, I'll leave that out in case we need to use it again. And I'm just going to darken this bottom part up again. Like that. And I'm going to take that Burnt Umber 280 again and just darken a little bit in here. And then we'll go ahead and blend. And a nice thing with, you know, stuff like this where it's wood, being a little more like scratchy and a little more erratic is really going to add to the wood texture too. Because wood's not perfect, right? There's little like color areas here and there that are all different. So I want to sort of imitate that as best I can. And then I'm going to take this pencil and just lightly go in a couple of these grooves here where it's a little darker in the bench here. And I'm going to try to be as precise as I can with the tip. But there's like little dark spots in between the planks here. And as we get more towards this side, it gets a little bit lighter, so I'm not going to push as hard. And then as we get about here, I'm going to push a little bit more just to deposit a little bit more of that pigment. Okay. So I'm going to grab, I think I'm going to grab my size 4 silver black velvet again because I really like this brush. Oh, and I need some water. Hang on. I forgot to get water. Alrighty, we have water. I told you guys I was rushing before this stream. So I'm going to grab this and then I might, you know what, we'll just do it with this one. I really like these silver black velvet brushes. And then I've got some other brushes that we're going to try for the trees in the background. So again, I don't need a whole lot of water on my brush, so I'm going to dip it off before I blend anything out. And I think I'll start with the bench and then I'll blend the rest of it. So if you guys have any questions for me while I'm doing this, actually, you know what? I think I'm going to switch to my water brush because it might be a little bit quicker. So I'm going to use the small tipped water brush for our bench here. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, let me know. Because it's always a good time to answer questions while I'm blending out because I don't have to think too much. And I try to keep it going from light to dark when I'm blending, just because it makes it a little bit easier. And then I'm not bringing the dark too much into the areas where I don't really need it or don't want it. So I think I'll use the bigger brush for those, just because it'll be a little easier. And I'll just blend all the smaller areas with the smaller brush right now. So I really like to use my water brushes with my watercolor pencils because as you can see, I don't have to stop and keep dipping back in to get a little bit more water because you really don't need a whole lot of water, or you don't want a whole lot of water to blend them out because they can go quite patchy, but then that gives me more time to keep a nice smooth blend as well. So I'm barely even like touching the paper here when I'm blending these out, because I want to try to get as fine of a line as I can. And for this part, if it bothers you that they're not completely straight, you could go in with a ruler. But, you know, in my mind, all pieces of wood aren't completely straight either, so it kind of, you know, adds to that picture that maybe this is a bench that has been sitting here for a while, it's kind of worn. So I kind of like that too. And I'm going to blend this spot out too with this. Okay, so I'll grab my bigger water brush. And I'm just going to get that going. And then I'll blend out these middle planks, and then we'll do the grassy area. So as you can see, I'm not completely blending everything out completely. I'm not getting rid of all my lines because I want some of that texture in there. Now these watercolor pencils, you can completely blend them out so that you don't see like any of that, but because again this is a bench and we want some texture in there, I don't want to get rid of it completely. Okay, so I think I'm actually going to use my size 6 Princeton Neptune, just because it's a little bit bigger than the 4, and we'll work on some of the grass now. So I'm going to start up here with these ones, and I'm just like lightly tapping. I don't want to get rid of all of my lines, but I want it to sort of blend in, especially the bottom part of the grass. And same with over here. So I'm just tapping on top of it and then just blending the bottom part down. So those lighter grassy areas. Oh, thank you, EP. She says, loving how it looks Don't forget to like and subscribe. Yes, please. That does help my channel out very much. So I'm going to take that same brush and just sort of like kind of just jumping around where I've put the texture area. And I need a little bit more water for this, but not a whole lot. And I'm just jumping. I just want to get rid of any harsh lines, so it just kind of subtly blends in, if that makes sense. And I don't even know if you guys are picking this up on camera, but it's just giving a little bit of texture, almost like a little bit of a mottled look or something. Now, if you want to go ahead and like make grass texture everywhere, go right ahead and do that. But I kind of like more of like a general feel. Like you don't have to have grass texture everywhere. You know this is grass. So I'm going to start coming in and doing the same in some of these areas. So again, I'm just tapping because I want to wet this grass, but I don't want to completely get rid of all of my lines right now. And I'm just going to keep sort of towards the outside of my grass right now, like where those lines that I put down are. You can see how it just darkens them up slightly, just blends them in just ever so slightly. And if you get a harsh area, just blend out your edges. And you really don't need a lot of water to get this effect. I'm going to go and blend some of these edges here. Okay, and maybe a little bit too much water there, and then I'm just going to start again dabbing, because I don't want to get rid of everything, but I want it to slightly soften out, if that makes sense. And then we can go over top again afterwards and add any last little details that we want in the grass area. If we want to add some more little strands of grass going, or I guess blades of grass, if that makes sense. Maybe a little bit too much water there. And I'm just getting rid of those harsh edges, just softening them out. And I'm just dragging some of this texture down so that it sort of goes towards the bottom of our painting. Crafting with EB says, I'm going to play with my Inktense pencils today on my stream. Oh, very nice. So are you keeping the postcards from Viviva Colors? Yes. Yes, I am. So I did receive my product from them, and I am going to keep them. And I did do a video. It'll probably go out Monday or Tuesday, just showing the product and showing what they are. And I'm not sure, I haven't done Inktober yet, really. And I'm not sure if I really want to or not. I'm kind of hit and miss on it. So I don't know if you guys see that video and you want me to do it, if you want me to do the prompts each day. It's a postcard, so they're already like pre-drawn, really. But I didn't know if that would be like boring to see me like coloring it in with the supplies every day, or if you guys want that, or maybe one video a week of doing like the weekly prompts. Yeah, let me know what you guys want to see. Okay, so I think I'm going to leave that there for now, and we'll let that dry, and then we'll come back and add a few little finishing details. But I want to get started on the leaves here and the leaves over here. So I'm going to show you guys a couple of ways how to do this. And first, I'm going to take my, where are you? My Burnt Umber 280, and I'm just going to darken up along here the tree line, because it's a little bit darker. I got to go just a little bit darker on the top of it. So I'll put that in, and then we'll blend that out. Probably not even going to bother putting it over there where that little bush is going to be. I would, after what we both went through. Yeah, there was quite a bit of issues with shipping and if I was going to get it or not, and I don't know, it was kind of weird. But yeah. Okay. So I'm going to start with this lemon yellow, and I'm going to show you guys two ways that we can do the trees. So what I've got here is my, well actually I guess maybe three ways, but I've got my Caren palette here, and it's got a smooth side for like if you're putting down watercolor or anything like that, or a rough side so that you can scratch your pencils down and just pick the pigment up. If you don't have a Caren palette like this, if you've taped your work, you can just go ahead and rub it on the tape like this and do the exact same thing. That works. Or you can lay a piece of masking tape on the side and you can see how that lays down, and you can pick it up the same way. So I'm going to get some of this pigment onto the palette here. And I'm going to take my size 6 Princeton Neptune brush, and I'm taking this one over a silver black velvet because I don't want to ruin the tip of my silver black velvet doing this technique that I'm going to show you. This one, it doesn't come to such a fine point, so it's not as like a precious brush to me. EB says, I'm doing the postcards once a week on the stream on Saturdays and pre-drawing out the prompts on Saturday and Sunday. Okay, cool. So again, I'm going to get my brush damp, not super wet, but I'm going to pick up this pigment on the palette here, and what I'm going to do is sort of just dab it on. I've also got another brush that we can try here. This is the Princeton Select Deerfoot, and as you can see, the bristles on this are already like splayed out. So that's sort of what the texture I'm going for. I'm going to see if I can get it with this brush, but your brush has to be pretty damp to sort of get that texture, and then we can try this one out and see which one we like better. And for this, the wetter it is, the better it's going to be. And you know what? I might try this Deerfoot brush out. So as you can see, it's quite splayed. I don't know if this will pick up much of the pigment, but we'll give it a try. Yeah, that doesn't pick up a whole lot. No, it does work good with like watercolor or gouache or acrylic paint where it's a little bit thicker. That's all right. It's worth a try. And I think maybe if these, so you can see how it's splayed out a little bit. I think if these watercolor pencils were a little bit more pigmented, maybe this technique would work better. Because I do like doing this with water color or gouache. But another way we can do is just, again, sort of the scribbling method that we've done down here. And I might do that with some of these, so I'm just gonna scribble on, and then we'll do that like bouncing, blending out technique, because picking it up's not working so well on this. So I need to get some of this up here too. And see, not everything works out the way you want it to in art. Sometimes it's just trial and error. You try something and you're like, well, nope. Try something else. Okay. I'm going to switch to that Naples Yellow 185. And I'm just going to see if maybe this color will pick up better. Probably not. And if not, we'll switch our technique into just doing the little scribbles. So I'm getting most of that water off my brush. Just trying to pick up a little bit of pigment. And then I'm going to sort of tap it in, and it kind of works. But not so much. Not so much. So we'll just work away doing it this way, and then we'll come in, blend it out again. And so for this, I'm being, you know, pretty scribbly again, because I want to get that like texture of like just the leaves sort of everywhere. So true. Yeah. Sometimes you're like, oh, this'll work perfectly. No, not always. Could be a brush, it could be, you know, anything that you're using maybe. So I'm just going to scribble along some of these just to create some texture. And again, this is going to look funny until we start getting it blended out. So bear with me. And we've got to get a lot of like different colors going in here too. Okay, and I'm going to start coming over here and these trees. So happy our Inktober drama is over. Getting the sketchbooks on Monday or Tuesday. Oh, nice. Yeah, I forgot that they were sending your sketchbooks separately because they were damaged or something, right? Yeah, that's crazy that there was so much trouble and issues with Inktober this year. Well, not with Inktober, but with the supplier. I'm not sure what... you know, what happened. If they just weren't prepared for that many people to be ordering or what. Okay, so I am going to grab my terracotta 186 and just continue on here. Now I'm pushing just ever so slightly more than before when I wanted it to blend out really smoothly, because I do want a little bit more texture in here. So I don't care if it blends out completely smoothly. And as you can see, I'm just making little squiggles. And where's my sheet of glassine? Let's use this and be good. Yes, they did give me a $50 gift card, so I'm happy with them fixing what happened. Okay, yeah. It still kind of sucks that you got your stuff like late, but better late than never, I guess, right? And like, honestly, the company has had really good customer service too. So, I mean, I can't say too much bad about them. I did, you know, get my product and I'm happy with it. So, and so this picture might end up a little bit more painterly than I was hoping, just because we're having to change up some of our techniques. That's all right. It's funny because they said the ones I ordered were damaged and they are giving me other ones, but they are still for sale for the ones I want. Was your box for postcards damaged? Because mine was. It looked like it went to war. Yeah, mine was damaged. It was opened, but the postcards inside weren't damaged. So. Oh, hello, Art City. Nice to see you here. Thank you so much for joining. We're just working on this fall landscape project, and we're just kind of having to change up some of our techniques here. So we're going to see how this looks. Because it wasn't exactly how I was hoping to do it, but sometimes that happens in art, and you just got to go with the flow. I'm going to get some of this orange up here too, or orangey brown, I guess. So I'm just sort of following the shape of these trees here. EB says, make sure everyone shows Naomi some love by liking and subscribing. Oh, you're so nice. Yes, please make sure you like and subscribe and share if you want to, because it really does help my channel out. And then more people can find these scribbly tutorials. So I'm kind of filling in the shape of these trees, but I'm not hitting every spot because again, we want some background to show through, some different colors. And how is everybody's weekend going so far? I feel like the weekends just fly by before I even know it. And then it's like Sunday, and then it's Monday. So I'm kind of doing some little tapping and some scribbles just to get some of that texture in here. And I'm just looking where I can see like hints of these colors. Quite a bit over here. Mine is wonderful so far. Was streaming for 5 hours yesterday. Holy jumpins. I find, you know, after 2 hours for me, I kind of get quite tired. So 5 hours. Wow. That's a long time. Okay. I'm also going to take this color into here. And for this, I'm going to do sort of more like rounded shapes, like little leaf shapes. I guess not rounded, but little oval shapes, because this is a little closer up. So I do want it to be a little more, just slightly more defined. And I'm just kind of putting them in the areas where I kind of can see the colors, but it's sort of like all over really. Yes, yeah, I did a pre-cut project that jumped right into coloring. Oh, wow. Yeah. Good for you. Do you find you get really tired after a long stream like that, or are you just like used to it now? Because I know you've been streaming on Twitch for a while, so if you guys haven't yet, you should check out Crafting with EB's channel. She does videos on YouTube as well as streams on Twitch every Saturday and Sunday. I'm not sure if you stream during the week as well, but she does videos during the week. Okay. So I'm going to go back with this permanent green olive, a little bit of a darker green, and start filling in some of our green areas too. Aditya Art Academy says, beautiful. Oh, well, thank you so much. Here, let me move the thing so you can get the full view of it. We're not done yet. We're working on it, but wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. So I'm sort of just getting some leaf texture in here right now. Depends on what you're doing. Yeah, okay. Thea Moore says, hello everyone, lovely. Oh, good morning, Thea. Nice to see you here. So again, I'm going to put some of that like textured, like little grass kind of down here. But I don't want it to be, you know, as noticeable as up here, so I'm just sort of scribbling it in. And it looks a little funky right now, but once we get this blended out, it's going to give us some texture and hopefully imitate some of these leaves going on. There, and EB's just given a little spiel. She posts videos every Monday, Thursday, and streams on Twitch Friday and Saturday and Sunday. And she's put the times there. And yesterday she went for 5 hours. Like, whew, that's a long time. Okay, I'm going to get some of this green up here, just a bit. So I want to be a little careful where I put the green because we've got some orange colors going on too. But they're kind of all going to mix together anyway. We just want to be a little mindful. Okay. Just getting some of this green color in some places here. And again, anybody that's just joining, if you have any questions for me while I'm doing this, please feel free to ask. Maybe a little bit more green up in here. Okay, and then I'm going to get some of that green, mostly just in a few areas, and then I'll put a little bit of the light green in here as well. So there's not too much dark green, but I'll jump to that May Green 170. And for anybody curious, I have all the supplies listed in the description below, along with the colors and the line art for this if you want it to follow along. So I'm scribbling this green on just in a little bit where I see like a little cluster of green, because there's hints of it in here. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my orange glaze 113. This is a very bright orange, so I'm just really going to put this in a few different places where I see it, because it is quite bright and I don't want it to take over a lot of this, but just a few places where I see it a little bit darker. And again, I'm just going to add a few of these in, just over top of the terracotta ones that we've put in, just to add a little bit of a little bit more orangey color. Then I'm going to grab, no, I don't want that one. I want my Caput Mortem Violet 263. And I'm going to start adding this into some of the darker areas as well. This is going to create that like browny, reddish purple leaves in some of these areas. And I'm going to overlap it with some of our colors too. And into where we put some of that like grassy area. And I'm going to concentrate this color a lot on the bottom as well, because there's sort of like these darker bushy areas. So we're definitely in the ugly stage right now. of this piece. But hopefully we can pull it together and make it work. So I'm going to sort of get some of that texture in this area too, back here. I'm loving the artwork. Looks like you'll be done with it today. I'm hoping that's my goal, so that we can continue, or not continue, so that we can start something new the next time. So I had a request to do either some watercolor or to use the Caren Neo 2s in the next artwork, because I was thinking we could do a fall leaf with colored pencils, but we could do the background with either Daniel Smith watercolors or with the Neo Color 2 water-soluble pencils. So if you guys want to let me know which you would prefer for that. And then I think after that one should be maybe two weeks, I would think. So 2 Sunday tutorials. And then after that, I was thinking we would go back and do a pastel piece. Maybe a nice pumpkin scene or something like that. But I am completely open to suggestions. So let me know. Either one for me, EB says. Okay. I'm going to get this color down here in the bottom. And I'm going to get this color just a little bit in here, not too much, but I see a little bit of it up here and just over here a little bit. Okay. So then I'm going to go ahead with this middle cadmium red, and let me see. I've got 2 reds out here. I've got this one and I've got deep scarlet red. And I think I like this middle cadmium one because it's a little bit of a more muted red, but I'm just going to put just a hint back in here, and I'm being very light with this because it is quite a dark and powerful color, but I just see a little bit of that red back in here and just in a couple of places. So I'm adding this very sparingly, just a little here and there. And then I also see some red leaves up in here, so I'm going to add them in. And then we'll go back in and fill this in a little bit, and then I think we're gonna blend it out and see where we're at, and then do any final details and stuff like that, just to make any areas pop that we really want to. So I'm trying to put these like little leaf shapes too in different directions. They're not all going in the same direction. So some I'm doing this way, some I'm doing this way, just to give it a little bit more variety and texture. Okay. I'm going to go back in with that Naples yellow. And just get some more in here. So I'm trying to fill some space with this where I notice it. And I'm going to go back in with that terracotta 186 and do the same thing. Just fill in little gaps. Because this is a sparse but full kind of bush, if that makes sense. Okay. And I'm going to grab that Caput Mortem Violet 263 one last time and just add some more like fullness over here, really. So I'm just adding little squiggles of just where it's coming off the page, just to add a little bit of fullness to this. But I don't want to make it too busy either. Okay, so I think we're ready to go ahead and blend, and then we'll kind of see where we're at, anything we want to add and stuff. So I'm going to let my face cloth, or my paper towel here, and I've just been using the same paper towel throughout this project, just so that I'm not wasting paper towel. I just set it off to the side, let it dry, and then it's good to go. So I think I'll blend actually maybe we'll blend this little tree first, and then we'll start blending our background up there. And I'm just getting this fairly dry, and again, I'm just going to tap it on. I think it's got to be a little more dry than that. And you'll see how we're just getting the colors a little darker, but not moving too much. And it's sort of like a happy medium that you got to get with your brush to do this. And I'm just dabbing it, like just tapping it on. And just picking up a little bit more water where I need it. And then I'm going to go ahead and just sort of do the same with the rest of it here. So I want to make sure I don't have too much water on my brush, because I want to just lightly blend everything, but not blend it out completely. And if I pick up too much color, I just dab it off and get some clean water. That brings it out so nicely. Yeah, it sort of darkens up the colors a little bit where you hit it, and it just makes it a little more like textured. Now, and I am no way a landscape artist. This is the first time I've ever, tried a landscape with these pencils, using these techniques. So it's kind of fun to see how things are going to turn out. But I am liking doing landscapes, so I may end up doing some more in the future if you guys like them, like this, or we can do different mediums doing landscapes, because they're not as scary as they seem. And again, I don't want to blend out every area, because I want to leave some of that texture. I'm just basically giving it like a dab of water just to darken it up a little bit. Lisa says, I just enjoy watching you do anything. Oh, thank you so much, Lisa. That is such a sweet comment. EB says, me too. You guys are so sweet. And for this, you really, really don't need a lot of water on your brush at all, as you can see. And I'm using a round brush here, but you could probably even get away with a flat brush doing this. And that might be just a little too much water. And I apologize if I'm hitting that cup and it's a little loud for you guys. Sorry about that. So I hope these are starting to look like trees to you guys. Trees and bushes. Naomi, are you going to put this in a frame? This will be a wonderful piece to hang up. Huh, I might if it turns out good. Thank you, EB. Yeah, this is an 8 by 10, so it would be the perfect, you know, size to frame. So if I like how it turns out, then I may just do that. Yeah. Yes, happy trees and bushes. Yeah, thank you. Okay, and then I'm just gonna go along here and get that line that we put down, make sure that's nice and dark. Oh, hello, Art City. Welcome back again. We're just blending things out and seeing what it looks like. So now this is sort of one of the last stages for this, where we kind of just take an overall look at the piece and decide what we want to add in, if we want to add in anything at all, if there's any little details that we want to add, darken anything up. So let me know how you guys think it's looking right now. Do you think anything needs to be added or changed? And while I'm waiting for that, I'm just going to throw out there that I did start a Patreon. I created a Patreon, but I don't want to change my tutorials and like make them Patreon only, because I don't feel like you should have to pay to see them. So I'm going to continue my tutorials on Sundays, and Patreon will just be sort of like an add-on. So if you want to support me, or if you want to, I did add a couple of tiers where you guys can have like some voting power on what's coming up for the tutorials. Or if you want a critique from me, like a monthly critique, you can add, send in an artwork to me and I will critique it for you. I'm kind of thinking other things that I could add to the tiers, but you do not have to sign up for it at all. It's just something that I created so that I could like keep paying for art supplies and keep making videos and stuff like that. I do have it linked down in the description below. But yeah, I figured I would just mention that at some point. It looks great. Well, thank you so much, EB. So I think what I'm going to do is just dry this part here, and I'm going to add in maybe a couple more little wispy twigs and maybe over here. So I'm just going to go ahead and use my hair dryer real quick. And I might add a little bit more grass texture around our bench, and then we'll call it done. I just want to make sure that this is really dry before I go on top, because if your paper's not dry, before you go on top like that, then you can ruin the paper. You can scratch it up. And our bench should be dry by now. There, so I'm going to take my warm gray 6 and just add in a couple. Oh, my tape's coming off. Oh, and then we'll do the tape reveal too, because that's always fun too when we're done, right? So I'm just going to create a couple more little twigs, and I might not even blend these ones out. I'm going to have some coming out. And just a couple coming up here in the background. To add a little bit more texture and trees, and I might do some over here as well. And I'm going to do a couple just where it's dark, like there's some dark grass, really dark. Okay, and then I'm going to switch to that green oxide, chrome green oxide, 278. And just get a few more strands of grass in here. Now for this part, I am going to push a little bit harder, and I'm sort of rotating my pencil at the same time so I get nice sharp edges. I'm going to have some pieces a little lighter, a little shorter. A couple little wispy ones coming up here and some more over here. And see, now this is one of my favorite stages because I could just keep adding little things here and there. And I'm just going to darken up right under here, just around these posts, really. And I'm going to grab that, where's my dark umber? I'm just looking for my, oh, I guess burnt umber, 280. And I'm just going to just darken that up a little bit too with that. And I think that's where I'm going to leave it. Maybe do a few more like little textured areas under here. And then I might just slightly blend the tips of these grass down so that they sort of just blend into the background. And I think that's where I'm going to leave it today. Let me see what it looks like in the video. It's looking quite dark in here. I can still see the bench posts in between the grasses. I don't know if you guys can still see that. So I don't know if it's a little bit darker maybe on the screen than what I'm seeing, but I think it came together okay for a first attempt at a landscape. Let me know what you guys think. EB says, this looks like a nice thinking spot and a place to just relax. Yes. Wouldn't it be nice to just sit in that bench with a cup of coffee or tea or whatever your choice is and just, you know, ponder the world? That would be really nice. And look, I keep messing with it. I'm just blending those down. Okay. And see, this is the point where sometimes you need to just walk away from your art because you just want to keep messing with little things. And sometimes you need to put it away for a couple of hours or even a day or two and then bring it back out and decide if it's good the way it is or the way it needs to be changed. And actually, I'm seeing this I need to change. So I am just moving that color because that area was a little wonky. There is a little bit of a lighter area here. But I don't want to mess with it too much more right now. I've enjoyed. Thank you so much, Lisa. So I think I'm going to go ahead and sign off for today. So next week, same time, 10 a.m. Atlantic time, and we will be starting a new project, probably the leaf with watercolor and colored pencils. And yeah, oh, actually, let's do the tape. You guys wanted to see the tape, right? So my trick, because this tape has been on here now for a few weeks, right? So if I take this off, it might rip the paper, it might not. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my blow dryer and heat it up. But I'm going to start getting the tape off on the board part. And this board, this is just the back of like a watercolor pad that I had available. It was just a 9x12, I think maybe Arches. And so I just end up taping my work to it sometimes because it's nice and hard, so it'll keep it flatter. And it's just the perfect size, especially for like an 8x10 work like this. So I'm just going to try to get the tape off the back here so it'll come off nice and easy. And then I'm just going to go ahead and start heating the tape up a little bit. And another tip is you never want to pull the tape like into your work this way. You want to always pull it away from your work. And you can see how that tape is just coming off like butter. So we'll do this side now. And you don't really need to heat it up much at all. let's turn that off. And that's another piece. And what the heat does, it just loosens the glue enough so that you're not going to rip your paper. And maybe just a little bit more. There's that. And one more piece. There. So that is how it looks like without the tape on it. And I like doing the tape around because it creates a nice white border and it looks really nice. So I hope that's in frame. I hope you guys can see that. There. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, I guess I'm going to call it. Yeah, and I will see you guys next week. Thank you guys so much for joining. And if you haven't, please give a like and subscribe. It really does help my channel out. Bye, guys.